We have those tools now, and they are important. The Honourable Member for Calgary-Forest Lawn.
23 Liberal MPs' requests to help Afghan refugees were ignored. Liberal ministers were briefed months before Kabul fell. These warnings were ignored. My letters to the Prime Minister and the ministers continue to be ignored. Afghan refugees write to this government every day pleading for help. They continue to be ignored. The Afghan crisis is another pattern of inaction and failures in leadership by this Liberal government. Why was an election plan and abandoning those that served Canada more important than the pleas of Afghan refugees?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration.
Mr. Speaker, when that member first asked me a question about the success of our resettlements and efforts in Afghanistan, there was 3,800 Afghan refugees in Canada. Today, there are more than 7,700. In the past few weeks, Mr. Speaker, we have seen more than 460 arrive on 20 commercial flights. There are more flights arriving every week. We have made one of the most substantial commitments of any country in the world, not just on a per capita basis, but in terms of the raw number of human beings that we are going to welcome to give a second lease on life. Canadians should be proud of the effort that we're making, and we will not waver until we are successful in resettling all 40,000 Afghan refugees who will call Canada home.
The Honourable Member for Charles-Bourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, that doesn't explain why in December 2020, 23 Liberal MPs urged the Prime Minister to intervene and rescue Afghan nationals who had worked alongside Canadian troops during the Afghan conflict. And what happened 8 months later? The embassy closed, everyone left, and no one was rescued. Now they're saying 40,000 Afghans will come. But there was never any real attempt to help those Afghans while we were still there. Why were those people not taken care of when Liberal MPs asked the Prime Minister to do so? The Honourable Minister of Immigration.
The Honourable Member will appreciate that during the evacuation there was an emergency situation and we responded as quickly as was humanly possible. One of the reasons, Mr. Speaker, that I think the Honourable Member will appreciate is that we no longer had a military presence with the logistics capability of moving thousands and thousands of people on our own because we hadn't had a military presence there since 2014. Mr. Speaker, we worked with international partners to rescue thousands of people in the moments of the evacuation. I want to say thank you to my predecessor, now the Minister of Public Safety, for his efforts to resettle thousands of Afghan refugees, and I'm going to finish the job.
The Honourable Member for Bruce Grey, Owen Sound.
Mr. Speaker, here's some of the damning testimony this week from retired generals about the Liberal government's failure during the fall of Kabul and the government's continued lack of leadership. Quote, "We were the first embassy to depart. That was very embarrassing." Quote, "When this crisis was unfolding right in front of our eyes, we had then, as we do now, urged the government to create an interdepartmental task force with one leader." Mr. Speaker, I'll ask the same question I asked last week. Will the Prime Minister assign one lead minister to solve this ongoing humanitarian aid crisis?
The Honourable the Honourable Minister of Immigration.
I am the minister who's been appointed by the Prime Minister to lead this effort. We will collaborate with other ministers, including the Minister of Global Affairs, to help ensure that we are successful in partnering with the global community to see this mission succeed. I heard the members opposite heckling about the timing of the election when it came to the Afghan refugee resettlement effort, and I would point out how important that election was because we campaigned on a commitment to increase our level of ambition from 20,000 to 40,000. Their commitment on the other side, while they heckle me, was to welcome precisely 0 Afghan refugees. More than that, Mr. Speaker, they campaigned to end the government-assisted refugees program altogether, which has been responsible for saving thousands of lives.